Lord. Alright. Monday. Here we go. Stream number 17. Okay, here we go. 17. I really like this playlist, this synth from Vibes Radio. Thank you, sir. Alright, Kick is live. Twitch is live. YouTube is live. Cool. Alright. As usual, welcome to the writing stream. I am Gabriel Rathwig and I am writing a book. The book is called Mercenary, Reincarnated as a Chef. Book 3. There are 2 other books. They are finished. You can check the Friday streams for the recaps. And yeah, so this is me streaming how to write a book. People always ask me. And this is me trying to double dip by taking advantage of my daily work anyway, and using this as an advertising / accountability stream. So every day my goal is to write 2,500 words. 500 words per half hour, 1,000 words an hour. So basically 2.5 hours per stream or less to get to the word count. With that word count, we're talking 25,000 words every 10 days. That means a book every 40 days. So 100,000 words for me is one book. And I do that because it's gamifying it. So every 1,000 words is 1%. Hence 100,000 words, 100%. Currently, we are at 85,559 words, which I'm sure will change momentarily as I go through and accept all these probably not correct Grammarly changes. And what I'll do, yeah, see, 85,534. So that brings us to 88,035. So for me to hit my word goal, I need to get 88,035, and that will be not too bad. What is going on? Let me see. What are my stream rules? I don't read the chat while I'm streaming or I'm writing because I can't focus, switch back and forth. End of the stream, I will look at the chat and, you know, answer questions, welcome anybody, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, what else? After today, we'll have 12,000 words to go, so I think Thursday or Friday we'll be done. I was thinking Saturday, but Thursday or Friday we'll be done, and then the day after that I'll start the editing process. What I'll probably do is switch to book 2, because that was given back to me like a couple weeks ago by the editor, and I'll go over the editing process of receiving a manuscript from an editor and going over it. And then after that, I'll go back to book 3, do my rewrites, edits, and then I'll submit that to the editor. And yeah, then we'll move on to the next book. And the next book will be From Chef to Crafter to Conqueror, book 6. And yeah, so right now, let me close these streams so we get a little bit of a better speed stream, blah 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 blah, bandwidth, whatever. Okay, yeah, because my dropped frames is 50%. That's crazy. I could imagine trying to watch this and if I was somebody. Alright, so each stream I give a writing tip. Today will be no different. One of those tips should be, depending what kind of writer you are, there are outliners or planners as they call them, and pantsers, which is like you fly by the seat of your pants. I'm a pantser. But it's good to sprinkle in some outline-ish or planning materials. So, like today, for example, I have a goal of writing 2,500 words. I know where the story is, and I kind of know where I want to go. So, by having a somewhat malleable destination for where you would like to take your story, it helps your mind focus in that direction. As opposed to having no direction, then your thoughts go everywhere, which is good and bad, depending on what you're trying to do with the story. If you're just trying to figure out what's going to happen, not having a direction is perfect. If you're trying to get somewhere, not having a direction, if you want to like move the story along, not having a direction is bad because you just start rambling. If you watch our Storyforge podcast with my buddy Dom, you can see in episode 1 we had a pretty good direction of where we wanted to go, and so it felt like that. But episode 2 we had no direction, and it felt like that. So with that being said, let me fix these in these. Hold on. Dun dun dun. Blong blong blong. Okay, now 11 o'clock, 11:02, 6 minutes in. Let's give a little recap of what happened yesterday, and then I'll read a little bit, last few pages or paragraphs, and we'll get going. So yesterday, it also helps me. The main character, Lou, and his allies took over the second ring of the city quite easily, destroying the vampires with a quickness. And with that being done, Lou decided to move faster to take the first ring because Lady Cecilia's father, the mayor of Helter Skelter and also named Lord Cerulean. For anybody who doesn't know, cerulean means blue. It's color. Because they found out that by Lady Cecilia's cousin, Lady Monica, her father, Lord Vermilion, Vermilion's red, that the mayor's been lying and they're actually under siege and they probably can't last too much longer. So Lou, the main character, decided to go all in and try to rescue them now. And so what he did was figure out a tactic where he created a bunch of kiteboards and ultralight motors using his magic, and created one for all the people staying at the compound, the place, that can't fly regularly, and they're going to do an air assault basically on kiteboards and ultralight fans pushing them. Okay, let's do here. You worry too much. Now watch this, Lou said, putting the finishing touches on the final kiteboard. The final hybrid kiteboard ultralight homunculus. And, then, turning and shouting so the entire courtyard could hear him, then turned and shouted, then turned and shouted so the entire courtyard could hear him. Listen up, people. I know you have a lot of questions, but time is of the essence, right? Time is of the essence right now. That's a bad period. Lady Cecilia and Lady Monica, Lady Cecilia's and Lady Monica's families are under siege by a horde of monsters and have been since the beginning of the tower break. They are barely hanging on. What nonsense are you speaking, Demon Rue? Lady Cecilia shouted, stomping over to Lou. Shouted, screeched, as she stomped over toward Lou, the beautiful girl's face reminding him of a burgeoning thunderstorm. No time for explanations, Lady Cecilia. Talk to Raphael or his sister. The rest of you listen up and listen well. Comma, and I will explain how these kiteboards... I'll explain how to operate these motorized kiteboards. Now first, you need... 45 minutes later, the courtyard was filled with the sounds of almost 50 motorized kiteboards surfboards and kites with ultralight fans attached and a MacGyver-like setup, lots of duct tape, as they powered up and began to slowly lift into the sky. They're going to get rid of slowly. In Lou's estimation, things were going quite well. He'd only had to fix 3 of the jury-rigged contraptions, and no one had been hurt. Much. And now, every single kiteboard was lifting into the air, passengers aboard, and mostly competent at the controls. Ragnar, Captain Griffith, Smog and their teams had cleared the skies ahead of them and had moved on to their next mission task. Clear the way to the innermost circle wall and its gatehouse. This is quite amazing, Diddy shouted gleefully from his kiteboard a few dozen feet away and above Lou to his left. He looked over, and when they locked eyes, the bonobo scion gave him a face-splitting, ear-to-ear smile and a double thumbs up, causing the pubescent beastman to lose his balance and almost fall off his kiteboard. Diddy gained control a few moments later, giving Lou a single thumbs up this time, and a sheepish grin, which Lou couldn't help but laugh heartily at. I just don't like the fucking way the dialogue goes. I have to rewrite this. The Ray Grammarly sets it. He looked and saw Blanca Fang with a sour and almost angry expression plastered over her pretty face as she stared at the ground growing smaller and smaller as she rose higher and higher. She saw Lou looking at her and transferred all her anger his way before raising her fist before shaking her fist at him and shouting, "This is all your fault. Meat boy, I'll get you for this later. You know I hate heights. You know how I hate heights." Lou had no issue suppressing his laughter this time, as the Beast Girl always kept her promises. The remainder of the kiteboard riders were either enjoying themselves with the novelty of the flying machine or too scared to voice their complaints. Either way, Lou did not look a gift horse in the mouth. His kiteboard was now at the maximum height that the place's magical buffs extended, 500 feet. "Ragnar, Captain Griffith, Smog, are we good to go?" Lou shouted out across the bright blue sky, while also sending the same message via internal system. The responses were all the same. "Sky's clear." The same. "Sky's clear." The agreed upon signal. Lou nodded to himself and then gave the command. "Kiteboard riders, move out." Chapter 27, so we have 4 more pages to write. Alright. Okay. So, I think today the goal is to what? Let me think. I think the goal is to get them into the center circle, attack the monsters there, free the nobles, and then by 90k they're assaulting the tower. So the last 10,000 will be them climbing the tower. Alright, that's a good... Okay. $30 plus flying machines. All move toward the inner circle wall almost as one, though the rickety contraptions... You know what it is? I'm doing tree. I should do tree on my left leg. Then my head will tilt to the left instead of the... Whoa! I can't stand well on that leg. Instead of at the left instead of the right, and then I won't tilt my head to the right. I'll tilt it to the left. Let's see how this goes. I gotta switch this. I gotta fix the mic though. Okay. All right. Let's see if this works. Swayed like drunken sailors in the azure air ocean in the sky, but they held together. They worked, and that was what mattered to Lou. Aesthetics were all well and good when your life wasn't on the line. But the moment that changed, the only thing you required from a tool, machine, or whatever was that it worked. The first time you needed it, because there probably wouldn't be a second. There definitely wouldn't be a third. As Lou usually did in the minutes before a what? 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 Ooh, bless me. Okay. Let's think. He contemplated his philosophical existence and went over the minutiae of day-to-day trials and tribulations that he'd usually put off. But in this new life, that included reading a ton of messages from his internal systems. Thankfully, he had the ability to compartmentalize and multitask. So while a portion of his brain read the dozen or so message updates, the main part of him could study the scenario unfolding out in front and below him, while also appreciating the natural and magical beauty of the city of Helter Skelter, and the world of Soul. His main cerebral computing power could be used to study the scenario unfolding out in front and below him, while also appreciating the natural, magical beauty of the city of Helter Skelter and the world of Soul. Since they'd conquered the majority of the third ring that the place was located, along with almost the entirety of the second ring, since they'd conquered the majority of the third ring that the place was located, where the place was located, along with almost the entirety of the second ring, only the inner circle was left under the control of the monsters. Well, the outer fourth and fifth rings were still occupied, but Lou had written them off as lost. Although, if he thought Lou paused and recentered his mind. When they conquered the inner circle and freed and rescued the noblemen, the noble houses, they'd reconsider going back to the two outer rings. The difference between the areas under Lou and his people's control versus the land under the monsters was like night and day. The sky was bright blue and full of puffy white clouds and a shining yellow sun. The sky above the outer rings and the inner ring were dark and covered with thunder storms and clouds so black you couldn't see inside of them. The setup reminded Lou of a mission where he'd spent a few days inside the eye of a Category 5 hurricane. Hurricane Megan. That had been a wild experience trying to hunt down a gang of international child sex traffickers in the Bahamas with 150-mile-an-hour winds and all that accompanied them had been quite the ordeal. Lou still had the scars to prove it. He blinked at the saying and then realized he didn't have the scars anymore. At least, not physically. Getting used to being reborn in a teenage body takes a lot longer to get used to than I thought it would. He grumbled loudly. The roar of the 30 industrial-sized fans drowning his words out. '86, woohoo! Less than 2,000 to go. Stretch. Ooh. That was a good one. Okay, let's keep it going. Whoa. Getting this leg up in tree is tough. Okay, here we go. Let's get some higher music. The city flew by beneath the flying armada. Tribbles appearing in droves on rooftops. So many that when Lou looked down, it was like a fluorescent, technicolored rainbow cityscape. He felt like he should be drugged up and getting ready for a rave. A scowl crossed his face of its own accord, due to a few unsavory, let me put this closer, memories of being at the drug-infested dance riots. Maybe if Lou had had a more normal life, he'd understood the attraction to getting one's self so drugged out that you didn't know who you were, where you were, or where you were, who you were with, or even who you were, while simultaneously wanting to dance like no one is watching and fornicate with every woman you look upon, was a hard pill to choke down. But Lou shrugged. Lou shrugged and shook his head, as he had on the mission had when he was in his early 20s on that mission and experienced the rave for the first time. To each his own. Ragnar and the other flying teams appeared came up alongside Luke had finished their missions, and Lou watched as the sky above the inner circle began to clear. Not fully like the one above them, but the storms were abating, and we could even see he was starting to be able to see inside the ring wall. All flying monsters have been terminated. Smog roared loudly, her deep baritone echoing across the entire city. Come on, Smog. Blue shouted. I bet there isn't a monster in the whole city who didn't hear that. Ha! Ha. 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 The huge red dragon roared. That was my intention. But they aren't the only ones. Those nobles and their any survivors in the city, along with those nobles under siege, should be able to hear me too. And that is also important. There is nothing like hope to add a little fire to a defender's insides. It can be the difference between holding out the last minute and giving up. Cruising along. Ugh. 42 minutes. Cruising along. Cruising along. Alright, alright. Look good. Refresh. Still good. Alright. Good. Okay, I'm gonna close that window. Check this. Ugh. Good, good, good. Okay. Good, good. Okay. Blue nodded in reply, not saying anything, as the dragon was right. He'd been on that end of things more than once himself. One 100 feet to the 100 yards to the gatehouse. Captain Griffith shouted, grabbing the Armada's full attention. Everyone, Blue shouted. Attack Plan Omega. No one hold back. Falls to the wall from the jump, boys. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more pages. Roars, shouts, screams of rage and fear resounded through the skies from the myriad of different voices. Dragons, griffin, a griffin, humans, beastmen and women, dwarves, and other races, even the tribbles, let out all the fear and emotion they'd been holding the past couple of weeks. Now it was their turn to perform a tower break. But they strike fear into the monsters. The dragons launched their breath weapons, one after the other, as fast as they could recharge and breathe them out. Ragnar flung tornado after tornado of wickedly sharp bands of air magic. Along with them, the elven riders atop their dragon mounts fired arrows with it, charged with their magical affinities. Adding to the maelstrom of ranged fire. Blues, pinks, yellows, oranges, greens, blacks, purples, comma, you name the color, and it was represented in that that continuous barrage of magical and conventional firepower. And it wasn't only the And they weren't alone. From the addition of the flying kiteboards, let the operators add their magical and physical attacks to the sky barrage, and by the time they were sailing over the gatehouse, it was nothing but a pile of rubble and dead bodies. Okay. Let's go. We almost at 87. Gotta check something. Good. And they weren't done yet. Lou cackled with unrestrained glee over the course of the next 15 minutes, and he wasn't alone. The sky, the floating armada, was not the only thing coursing through the air. Laughter abounded from every one of the attackers. Never had any of them, except Lou, been a part of such a one-sided slaughter of high-level monsters in their entire existences. In any of their many existences. Let's think. Ooh. Oh. Okay. Slow it down. stay with the creep of the place. We can't get ahead of the area buffs. Lou shouted, sending the message internally to make sure no one forgot. This was the only way that Lou's plan was able to work. If they didn't have the extremely insane mana regeneration rates and physical and this was the only way that Lou's plan was able to work. If they didn't have the insane mana regeneration rates, physical and magical buffs, and the bonuses from the food that Lou and Diddy made, the plan would fail. In fact, it wouldn't even be an option, a possibility. It wouldn't even be. It would be so impossible that just the thought of it was laughable. Would have been suicide. That was if they didn't have those things. But they did, and Lou was taking full advantage. He pulled back on the fans speed control, looking around to make sure the others were as well. After a brief scan, he nodded to himself, satisfied, and began turned his kiteboard and to attack the line of buildings and other areas adjacent to theirs. Another 15 minutes passed by as the Lou and the others rained hell down, rained their magical spells down like B-2 bombers over Dresden. Buildings collapsed into rubble, crushing any monsters hiding inside and or exposing any weak monsters hiding inside and exposing any strong enough to survive the but as soon as they were exposed, concentrated fire, they were met by concentrated fire from all directions. Lou was particularly well suited to this type of combat because of the two magical abilities and his prior knowledge of warfare and battle tactics. He summoned what's a good Lou had been thinking hard about the best way he could contribute during the battle and had gone through quite a bunch of different scenarios and options. He even came up with one where he just dropped the one that he'd gone with was man pads. man-portable air defense systems. Or shoulder-fired missiles with laser guidance systems guided by with a laser targeting system. The United States Army FIM 92, commonly called the Stinger, was his template. All right, almost at 87. We're getting there. Ooh. Ah, stretch, stretch, stretch. Ah. Okay, here we go. He dumbed the weapon down, of course, turning it from a smart, computerized guided projectile to a much less complicated one, a dumb bastard, as they are called in the business. He made a missile that was more of a glider with so that way Lou could just point and fire. He didn't need to hold the launcher on target and just instead he just went with the age-old tactic of playing the odds. If the missile missed, he'd fire another one. Alright, 87,000. Yeah. Ooh. Not done yet. Let's keep it going. We gotta get to 88. 1 hour, 10 minutes. Let's go. Launching air to fist missiles non-stop for over 10 minutes. He'd been doing it so fast that he'd taken over his regeneration rate and had to stop, or he'd be riding the Hershey Highway again. He took a deep, steadying breath and let it out, then surveyed the inner ring as he regained his mana and calm. Rubble was the first thing he saw. Over 80% of the buildings that had been in the inner ring were destroyed outright or on their way, except for the two last manors, bastions of helter-skelter nobility, Lord Vermilion's manor and grounds, and Lord Cerulean's mayoral residence. Both of which were surrounded by a veritable sea of monsters. Lou had to hand it to the monster hordes. They were extremely diverse and didn't seem to care that they were what? All natural enemies. Predator and prey, along with master slave, didn't seem to matter to any of them. All the monsters seemed to care about was getting it made him wonder if there was some type of magical or other force controlling the monster's actions. Alright, 800 and change. Here we go. Ugh. Only a matter of time before Lou and the others were able to come to the noble's aid, as the area of effect from the place was growing, was extending by the second. Lou kept his kiteboard on the bleeding edge, firing his magic, firing his missiles much slower now as they approached. Then confidence and the first struggling stronghold, Lord Vermilion's manor and surrounding grounds, all of which were covered by dead, crushed monsters and but were, one of which, slavering monsters. Screeching, screaming, and roaring as they shoved and pushed one another to get their chance to assault the confident. Lou was already playing out how thankful the noblemen would be when they arrived to save them in a few minutes. He even decided to accept whatever reward they wanted to give him. And as things went, when overconfidence takes control, the first of the defensive gates fell on Lord Vermilion's wall. It was like a linchpin being pulled. The three other gates fell and monsters streamed in through the breaches and swarming toward the manor house, covering the green grass like a living carpet. Father Lou heard Raphael scream. He turned to the shout and saw the foppish young noble roaring at the top of his lungs with his blade drawn and pointed toward the quickly falling bastion. His kite board moving at full speed and angled down into the mass of attacking monsters. He wasn't alone. The Alvin, Simon, and Theodore were right behind him, screaming and brandishing their weapons with as much raw anger and emotion as their liege. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Almost there. Almost there. Here we go. Demon Brew, what do we do? Diddy yelled across the space, the empty air. Since before Lou could answer, Blanca Fang kiteboard lurched forward after the Raphael and the Were chipmunks. She stood arms akimbo. She changed back to her alpha direwolf form, and her body's so large it barely fit all on the kiteboard, but her countenance was back to that of the apex hunter, predator, and master hunter. We attack and we kill them all. She roared in her powerful, magically enhanced direwolf tribe leader howl. She howled with her powerful, magically enhanced direwolf tribe leader ability that shocked fear and into her enemies and weakened them briefly. The buffs don't extend, Lou shouted back, but the direwolf, but she was already too far gone to hear him. Lou caught Diddy's eye, but the smaller bonobo just shrugged in return. As he pushed his As he raised his band's power to max and hurried after the alpha direwolf. Okay, less than 500 to go. Oof. Let's go. Less than 500 to go. What page are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we will be on 6 next. I do that, it's idiosyncrasy and like a superstition. I copy the chapter before, repaste, and change the name. It's just a thing. But the buffs don't extend. The words left Lou's mouth, but he was the only one to hear them, as everyone else turned their kiteboards to full power and followed after his friends. Lou knew he should do the same, but he wasn't as strong as the others. Not any of them. He was physically the weakest, and though his magic was unique and gave a lot of abilities, strategic options for him, Lou knew he'd be the first to die if things went sideways. And things always went sideways. He took a deep breath and calmed himself before centering his mind and re-evaluating the situation. If he looked at it logically, Blanca Fang, Diddy, Ragnar, and the others should be able to rescue Lord Vermilion and his people without Lou's help. In fact, they'd probably be better off without him. 360. Let's go. 360. Yeah. That's right. I'm the strategist. The general. I'll sit back and keep an overview and send a message or reinforcements if needed. Lou's breathing and pep talk worked. He kept a lookout and sailed his kiteboard over the edge of the place's range and watched. The seconds ticked by, and the unease that had filled him at not being a part of the rescue attempt began to ease. He saw the monsters fall under his friends and allies' assault. Even without the places buffs and bonuses. Twist my back. As he was about to turn around and head back to start making lunch, a message came to him, followed by another, and then another, then dozens. He quickly accessed his HUD and read the first. Demon Rue. My father contacted me. You monsters have breached the walls and are in the manor. You were right. I'm sorry. Please. Help my family. Please, please, please. I'll do anything. Lady Cecilia message sent the message on repeat. Sent the message on repeat because each subsequent one said the same thing. He quickly contacted Lady Cecilia and sent a message of his own. I'm on my way. Lou banked the kiteboard. Lou banked the kiteboard hard, barely keeping his balance as he did a 180 in a half second, then powered up to full speed and banked down toward the mayor's residence, sending messages to his companions the whole while, letting them know what he was doing, knowing in the back of his mind that none of them would reach him before he reached the mayor's house. And his people. And that the mayoral residence was well outside the range of the place and would be for quite some time. Lou would be back to his normal, weak, underpowered human self and on his own. A maniacal grin lit up and came to his face, and his eyes began to dilate. About time. I haven't danced with good old Skeletor in a hot minute. Lou said in a husky voice, his demeanor shifting from a kind and open teenager to a darker, more sinister persona. One did not become a mercenary, and even more, an assassin, if they did not have a darker side. Lou had a darker side. a very dark side. One so dark, it could be considered pitch black. Yeah, boys, guess what? Guess what? 88,047, 1 hour, 46 minutes, 1 hour, 40 minutes. So we've done 2,500 words in less than 2 hours, 1 hour, 40 minutes. Yo, I am happy with that. He normally hid that side of himself away, tucking even from himself. He tucked it away into the furthest recesses of his mind. Alright, that's enough for now. I think I'm done for today. Alright, 88,073. Killing it. 1 hour, 47 minutes, 48 seconds. Take away 6, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, I think we said. 8 minutes? 1 hour, 40 minutes to do this. This is pretty darn good. Let me pull over the YouTubes. Anybody watching? And we'll go to the kicks. Anybody watching? And the Twitch. Boom. Okay. Alright. I am looking. Thank you for watching, everybody. Fusium900, thank you for following. Live stream. YouTube, thank you for watching. Stream Kick, thank you for watching. Stream Twitch, thank you for watching. Anybody have any questions? I'll wait a few seconds. I'll cycle through. Look at the chats. Nobody's had any questions. Alright. Tomorrow we will be back. We will do some more writing. We'll hit 88. We'll hit 90,000 tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Ending the stream. If you want to check it out, check out my books. I Am Gamer, From Chef to Crafter to Conqueror, Warrior Academy, Tragic Kingdom, White Soul, Earth Online, all on Amazon.com. You can find my links in the notes. But yeah, check them out. Check out my books. Audible too. Deuces.